Now, here's an interesting question. I know that I can isolate the IP addresses if I try hard enough of an ISP, like a small ISP, and say,
Sure.
you know, I'm going to, block you if you don't manage your stuff, right? This was a
Right.
problem 10 years ago, much more
Right.
than it is today. But
Right.
basically, it's how ISPs got in line because
Right.
their customers were going to be shut off if they didn't manage their stuff. Do you think something
Exactly.
similar is going to happen to cloud providers?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've gotten a little bit more sophisticated in the tools and the technology we can use, so we can take a little bit more, a laser precision approach. I think years ago, what happens is you'd get malicious activity coming from an IP, and ISPs would block entire blocks of numbers. So even the good and the bad got thrown out the window. So I think nowadays some of the tools can take a more of a, again, more of a precision approach to blocking traffic down to not only IP but specific port, source, and target. So it's a little less draconian, I guess, for a resolution to a problem, but it definitely is going to become more and more prevalent, as we move forward, because again, the cloud's only getting bigger,
Right.
As an industry itself, in and of itself. So some of the things that you should ask from your cloud provider is, one is utilization of intrusion prevention systems. So any cloud provider should maintain an awareness of activity on their network using some sort of IPS. This allows them to not only detect but prevent intrusion or attack activities almost instantaneously. And this is important. Traditionally, most folks were using with something called an IDS, or intrusion detection, which is sort of reactionary in the sense where it looks for malicious activity from a network perspective, and then alerts or notifies someone to come and look and make some sort of judgment call on whether or not that is truly activity that is unwanted, and then allows the person to take action. Well, intrusion prevention takes that one step further, where you can tune and program the system to take action automatically. So it allows a lot more scaling. It allows for to be secure while our customers are sleeping in their beds, where they don't have to be necessarily watching the screen or sitting by their phone waiting for a text message all the time. The system is sort of handling 80 to 90% of all the malicious traffic. Secondly, the provider should perform inbound and outbound security scans. Cloud in most cases is a shared platform, so there's a contention for resources. So, you as a customer can be doing everything, that you can to protect your data, as far as making sure, all your systems are patched, that your firewall rules are in place, you don't allow any other extra services in that hackers could exploit. But guess what? Because it's a shared platform, the person sitting next to you and you're on the server might not be doing the same things that you are, and is opening the whole system up for attack. And because it's shared, if they are taking down your neighbor, they're actually taking down you.
Right.
No fault of your own. So your provider should be able to provide absolute protection against these types of issues and activities.
And is there a standard thing that I can say, oh, what do I ask for? How do I make sure that you're watching out for the guy whose stuff is next to mine?
Well, I think the single question you can ask, because, I think it's safe to assume that the, IDS and external protection, protection from the outside world is common, but a lot of the weaknesses come from inside. So I think the question to ask the provider would be, do you perform intrusion prevention or intrusion detection? Are you looking at the traffic originating from your network? not just coming from the outside, but originating from your network, because that's what we're seeing from the cloud. A lot of the attacks are starting from inside, going out.
Right.
So that's probably the single best thing or the single most important thing to look for.
Okay. Sorry about that interruption. Go ahead.
No problem. And ask away. But and the last point I had was the network visibility. Security awareness should be a part of the total overall capabilities of the provider. I mean, I think, again, I've said it numerous times, and I'll say it again. It's probably the most important thing that customers should be aware of when they're looking for a cloud provider, and they should absolutely feel comfortable with all the mechanisms they have in place to protect their systems and their data and their applications that allow them to do business.
Okay.
So that's it. So we do offer a free guide, a cloud computing guide, on our website. Just go to our website, www.stratascale.com/free guide, and we'd be happy to provide that for you. It's a little informational pamphlet or white paper that details the cloud and all its different sort of nuances and different ways it's offered out there.
Alrighty, so if anyone has questions, there's a question section on the GoToWebinar tool. Go ahead and type those in, and we will try to get to as many as we can. So while we're doing that, let me ask a slightly different question, which is, if we back up just a bit, tell me about, if I sign up as a partner with StrataScale, what exact kinds of things might I be able to sell? I mean, am I selling hosted servers? Am I selling kind of generic cloud storage? What exactly is the sale item?
Well, we feel that we have the sort of the breadth of all the infrastructure as a service. So we have dedicated physical machines all the way, from small, low cost, servers, all the way up to massive vertically scaled servers for large applications or databases. We have different tiers of storage, so we have low cost storage, for archival for customers that don't want to use a whole lot of I/O. It's very low cost, all the way up to high performance SAN, where customers can call out specific capabilities of the SAN that we can provide. And then we have a whole section on cloud, which is the virtualization platform, and we can offer low-cost shared solutions where customers can come in and offer, where resellers or channel partners can offer low-cost VMs, very small, that can scale out all the way up to a much more rigid or dedicated platform, in private cloud, where customers can have dedicated physical resources that all of their virtual instances sit on, so they don't have to worry about who's sitting on the box next to them, or resource contentions or anything like that. So we think we have sort of the full gamut, all the way from the small VM, 256 megabyte VM, all the way up to the massive, Intel, AMD, multi-CPU, multi-core boxes.
Alrighty. So obviously the first question, which is almost impossible to answer, is how are your services priced and sold? So the pricing part, I mean, there's such a variety of services, it's kind of hard to address that. But folks can get in touch with you, and you'll be able to, if people go to StrataScale and contact you, and they can always get the email address. We'll post it right up with the webinar here. But they can get the pricing from you. But talk for a minute about how it's sold in terms of the partner program. Is my relationship strictly with you, and then I sell it to my clients? Do you take the credit card from me or the client, that sort of thing?
Well, it's great because it's really, really flexible. So we don't prescribe, how the resellers, conduct their business. So we want to be flexible to meet their needs, sort of where they are. And all of the products are sold a la carte because of the automated provisioning system that we've built. It sort of takes all of this infrastructure and it creates sort of a loosely coupled model. So it's sold literally by, if we're talking about shared compute, it's sold by CPU, by RAM. If we're talking about dedicated servers, it's sold by server. You can buy a couple of tiers of firewall. You can buy a smaller firewall or a larger firewall depending on your networking needs. You can buy multiple tiers of storage, all the way from NAS for low cost archival, all the way up to, again, high performance SAN and sort of everything in between. You can buy load balancing a la carte. You can buy backup a la carte. It's all sort of pieced together based on the reseller specific requirements. Now, from a business perspective, we have the ability to completely white label our portal, so you can sell StrataScale services as if it were your own. So the portal's white label to have the reseller's logo and information on it. All of the user documentation that is provided to the end user is all available to the reseller to put their information in, their logo, their contact information, and all of the